This video is sponsored by Surfshark. In 1977, virtually no one anticipated Star Wars to be a hit. Not the studios, not the toy companies, heck, not even George Lucas. That's why the movie was written with such conclusion. He just simply didn't think there was ever going to be a sequel. When Star Wars eventually released in May of that year, the film was only screening in 32 theaters across the US, and the merchandise made to promote the movie was just as underwhelming.
We'll be seeing them in the shape of orange-flavoured marshmallows, bubble bath here with galactic bubbles, and the soaps in different characters.
With expectations set remarkably low, 20th Century Fox was bracing themselves for a complete and utter box office bomb. But then, something amazing happened.
The attendance at Star Wars has been almost astronomical.
Already, it's the biggest box office hit in cinema history.
I think this is going to be a science fiction classic.
The moviegoers wait for 6 hours or more.
In London, after a month, almost 600,000 flocked to see the film, an all-time record.
Turns out, Star Wars was a smash hit. The film was considered to be a breath of fresh air for the box office, with its themes of wonder and sci-fi escapism capturing the imaginations of anyone and everyone, including boys, girls, and even male nerds in their 20s.
On your cell phone.
It was an unexpected but pleasant surprise, which gave companies the green light to produce all kinds of Star Wars products and media for the next 46 years. The stats don't lie. Just take a look at the official Star Wars wiki and you'll soon realize that there has not been a single year since its inception where a book, show, Christmas album, or toy hasn't been released. The official numbers are hard to confirm, but according to publicly available data, Star Wars is the third highest grossing media franchise under Mickey Mouse and Pokemon, with an estimated $51.8 billion in total global revenue. And amazingly, $29 billion of that was garnered through merch. So, with these numbers in mind, we can only conclude that, at least from a marketing standpoint, Star Wars is at its core a merchandise business. But this explanation will never justify the Jar Jar Binks lollipop, the Kylo Ren garden salad, or the Star Wars alien specifically designed to sell Pepsi. It got bad, okay? So today, we're taking a look back at some of the strangest marketing moves the Star Wars franchise has ever made, from regrettable toys to painfully bad marketing mascots. So sit back and enjoy. And what better way to do that than with a nice cool glass of blue milk. Cheers. In 1976, American toy company Mego committed corporate seppuku when executives rejected the Star Wars license, leaving rival company Kenner Toys to pick up the rights. The only problem? The timing was a little tight. By the time Kenner had signed off on all the paperwork, the first movie was less than a year away from hitting screens, and developing a toy line can often take multiple years, especially when dealing with a licensed property. There was simply no way Kenner would have toys out by the time the movie released in May of '77, and according to their projections, they weren't even going to have the toys ready for Christmas. In the meantime, Kenner would fill the empty shelf space with all sorts of junk, ranging from half-baked board games to puzzles to even just label-swapping pre-existing toys with Star Wars imagery. Anything to try and buy time and revenue before the release of the action figures. But with December fast approaching, the hype for Star Wars had only grown, and Kenner was starting to realize just how much revenue they were going to lose during the holidays. Imagine sitting on a piece of intellectual property worth millions, with people begging you to take their money, but you have nothing to give them. It's practically a capitalist's worst nightmare. So, a plan was hatched. A desperate plan, but a plan nonetheless. But before we get to that, here's a message from today's sponsor, Surfshark. Contrary to popular belief, Surfshark has nothing to do with surfing or sharks. And while I personally believe that this is a missed opportunity, I'm willing to let it slide, because this is a killer app. With regular browsing, you're basically leaving a breadcrumb trail of data on every link you click and every video you watch. But with Surfshark, your data's encrypted, meaning the shameful burdens of your search history fall solely on you. By utilizing IP masking, Surfshark allows you to browse the internet as if you were anywhere in the world. For example, with the click of a button, I can make it look like I'm in France, Colombia, and, if they ever add it, Equatorial Guinea, the only country that tells you where it is in the name. It's on the equator. This lets me take advantage of the extensive array of Netflix libraries available online. I can even use my account on an unlimited number of devices, so I can browse safely wherever I go. And today, using the link in my description, you can get 3 months of Surfshark completely free. They even offer a 30-day money-back guarantee, so you can try it without any risk to your wallet. Just visit the link in my description to get started with Surfshark today. Just a few months before Christmas, Kenner would launch a commercial for the Star Wars Early Bird toy set, which was essentially just an empty piece of cardboard with an IOU inside.
Chewbacca, Luke, and Princess Leia, they're the Star Wars Early Bird set of figures.
The plan was to have kids purchase the package, fill out the form inside, and mail it off to Kenner. And in the next 2 to 6 months, they would hopefully receive a set of 4 new Star Wars action figures. Now, just to be clear, this wasn't some old, tried-and-true marketing tactic from the 70s. This was completely unprecedented then, and it still is now. I mean, the whole idea meant kids would wake up Christmas morning to find a literal piece of cardboard under the tree, only to be told they'd have to wait halfway until next Christmas to get their gift. The idea was bold and kind of greedy, but it worked. Turns out fans were so excited for these toys that they were willing to wait, and Kenner ended up selling hundreds of thousands of these things. Better yet, the toys were delivered on time without any major recorded hiccups. Sure, Luke's lightsaber made absolutely no sense, but apart from that, the toys were great quality. Now, we may look back at the idea of selling a piece of cardboard to children as kind of an ethical no-no, but have things really changed much? Today, people are still more than happy to fork over their hard-earned money for early access video games, pre-orders, and crowd-funded projects, so it's hard to criticize Kenner too much. Except for when they released the Uncle Owen and Aunt Beru action figures, that was kind of deserved. Okay, fast forward to 1999. The first Star Wars prequel is just about to be released, and Pepsi is at the forefront of the marketing campaign. Having secured a $2 billion deal in 1996, Pepsi was positioned comfortably as the #1 brand partnered with the movie of the decade. And needless to say, they were over the moon of Endor. No, but you could tell Pepsi was pretty hyped, and this led their marketing team to come up with a fairly ambitious plan for the summer of '99. That year, Pepsi would use a mascot to promote their tie-in with Star Wars, and instead of using a character from the actual canon, they somehow got the green light to design their very own Star Wars alien.
I got a bad feeling about this.
The character's name is Marfalump, which admittedly sounds a whole lot more Dr. Seuss than Star Wars, but whatever. The point is, Pepsi had really high hopes for this guy. Like, really high. And their optimism led them to make an entire mini-documentary on their creative process, which, in terms of content, is, quite frankly, an absolute goldmine.
The power of the Marfalump idea is it's one simple idea. It's not about Pepsi or Star Wars, it's about a character that loves both.
Okay, so here we get our first bit of insight into the creative genius behind the lump. You see, the partnership is about Star Wars and Pepsi. So what if the character loved Star Wars and Pepsi? Look, I'm not asking for an emotionally complex 3-dimensional character here, but this sounds like the entire backstory was hashed out in a 15-minute boardroom meeting. You guys remember Pepsi Man? Pepsi Man never said a word and still somehow managed to have substantially more character depth than Marfalump. But according to the creators, Marf was the perfect marriage between the two brands, and their excitement was palpable.
Star Wars and Pepsi have a very close association, and we wanted to create a character that can show the fun of Star Wars and the fun of drinking Pepsi all in one.
Wow, he literally just described their partnership with the language of a 4th grade English assignment. It's like they don't even know what makes both these brands so great. Is drinking soda even fun? Is that something people say? Am I having fun right now? I don't know. Okay, maybe I'm going a little too hard on Pepsi. But look at it this way. Marketing 101 tells us that any good brand should have a story to tell. And it kind of feels like Pepsi didn't know what they were trying to communicate with this campaign.
He's our connection. He's the connection between that fantasy that George Lucas is creating and that people are just going to have a blast with this summer, and Pepsi.
There's also the issue of the character's design. In a lot of ways, Marfalump kind of feels like a parody of Star Wars fans. According to the commercials, he lives in his parents' basement, is seemingly overweight, and is addicted to Pepsi products.
He holds the Pepsi cans mostly in his upper arms because his fingers have been designed to do that kind of action.
Wait, did they just imply that Marfalump's hands were specifically engineered to hold Pepsi? He even wears a stained Star Wars t-shirt that's 2 sizes too small, which kind of gives the implication that he's a bit of a man-child. In a lot of ways, Pepsi was unintentionally roasting Star Wars fans, but in their eyes, Marfalump was their ticket, and you could tell by the way executives spoke that they were looking for a pretty big payout with this new campaign.
We're looking for magic this summer, we're gonna get it.
Whoa, the corporate facade has been lifted. That lady just said in so many words that this thing damn better make money or someone's gonna pay, and frankly, I believe her. Then the promotion launches and Pepsi goes in guns blazing with an ad that features an X-Wing blowing up a Death Star made to look like the Coca-Cola logo. As for the actual ads, there were 3 separate commercials that aired during the summer of '99, each featuring Marfalump's crazy antics and ever so infectious catchphrase of "Oh joy! Oh joy! Oh joy!" But it's kind of debatable as to whether or not Marfalump really resonated with audiences. The character didn't last longer than a year, and while that may have been Pepsi's intention, their excitement for the mascot kind of made you think they were hoping for a longer run. Today, Star Wars fans have almost completely forgotten about the Marf, and it's very possible that they're quite happy pretending it just never happened. But some have tried to keep the memory alive. On r/Marfalump, a whopping 10 users are still trying to keep the fandom going, discussing Marf theories, quoting lines, and just plain talkin' Marf. Or not. But if it just so happens that we never see Marf again, please join me in raising one last Pepsi to the embodiment of joy himself, Marfalump. Okay, can I have a Coke now? Thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you. In 1990, the Star Wars franchise was in an awkward limbo. At this point, the last movie had come out 7 years ago, and there was still no word of when production would begin for the new films. Of course, Star Wars media and material was still being produced, and the franchise had maintained popularity, but the push for advertising new products wasn't as demanding as it was in the 70s and 80s. This would lead a small Italian toothpaste company to take a seemingly bold risk in regards to their advertising efforts. In 1990, the company Iyoda-san would release 2 separate commercials featuring Star Wars characters in their advertisements, and to this day, it's very debatable as to whether or not this was actually done legally. Sure, in the commercials, Darth Vader looks pretty convincing, but look closely at their lightsabers. For some reason, they start out white and then just keep changing color throughout the commercial. I think Darth Vader is supposed to represent plaque buildup, and the guy playing Luke is supposed to be fighting it off with a toothpaste lightsaber. I don't know, the whole thing is in Italian, so I'm probably lacking context, but most licensees have very specific guidelines when portraying their intellectual property. It just seems unlikely that they would allow for such creative liberties like this to be taken. But even with all things considered, I'm gonna give Iota-san the benefit of the doubt. It's very possible that during the early 90s, Star Wars was just cheaper to license due to its waning relevancy, and this commercial may have just been able to slip through the cracks in regards to quality control. But had this been Disney who acquired the Star Wars license in 2012, I'd imagine the situation would have turned out a little differently. Throughout the almost 50 years of Star Wars merchandising, the lightsaber has easily been one of the most coveted children's toys to grace store shelves. It's a timeless classic, and my audience even placed it in S tier when compiling our toy tier list on stream. But the product hasn't always been perfect. From early on, the lightsaber proved to be somewhat of a challenge with regards to child safety and its actual engineering. The first rendition, released in 1977, was basically just a blow-up balloon with a light bulb inside.
It's the new Star Wars lightsaber from Kenner. Inflation required, batteries not included.
It was also a little flimsier than it should have been, and kinda looked more like you were swinging around a giant inflatable condom. I mean, look at this photo. How do you get excited for something like this out of the box? Needless to say, it was a design that hadn't yet refined all the features that would eventually make the toy great. In fact, it kind of lacked all of them. Different colored swords? Nope. Epic duels with buddies? Nope. Eye-watering knuckle busters? No, no, no. Now, as much as I'd like to say this toy got better in the 80s, it may have arguably gotten worse. A few years later, another rendition would hit shelves, this time with the familiar hard plastic design. But the actual saber was about the length of a popsicle. I mean, look at this picture. That's not the lightsaber in the process of extending. That's literally it. This fiasco of almost getting lightsabers right would continue for way too long, until about 1996, when Hasbro arguably perfected it. This version was the epitome of what a toy lightsaber should be. It was over 3 feet long, had lights and sounds, and extended with the push of a button. Apart from being able to take your hand off, it was pretty much the real deal. From there, we'd continue to get film-accurate, extendable lightsabers well into the 2000s. It was the golden age, until Hasbro eventually got bored and started innovating. From what I can tell, the first offense began in 2015, when Hasbro released the Star Wars Blade Builders Collection. It seems like the idea here was to give children the ability to customize their own lightsabers with infinite attachments and possibilities, which means the Star Wars nerd in me is seething. I mean, I'm not going to even bother mentioning the complete disregard for the actual canon. Just look at this. Half of these abominations don't even make any practical sense. It's like they just cherry-picked the word fun from functionality and threw out the rest. Look at this guy. Imagine pulling up to the next Jedi Temple meeting with that thing. There's no coming back from that. Not to mention, I don't even know which way you're supposed to hold some of these. But of course, at the end of the day, I am just a grown man getting angry at a kid's toy for failing to abide by the imaginary rules that exist within a fictional universe. Besides, according to reviews on Amazon, kids absolutely love these toys, so you win, Hasbro. Once again, I am but the fool. Another weird innovation was the Star Wars Scream Saber, which allowed kids to record a clip of their voice and play it back through the lightsaber. I guess Hasbro thought this was just a silly idea that would have kids doing Chewbacca impressions, but I think literally everyone else had other ideas.
After the beep, say something loud.
I'm gay.
I'm gay. I'm gay. I'm gay. I'm gay.
I mean, in what world did Hasbro ever expect kids to use this appropriately? The first time I saw it on shelves, I was overwhelmed with the possibilities, and not one idea could I share without getting age restricted. But thankfully, nowadays it seems like Hasbro is kind of coming back to its roots and producing much simpler lightsabers with less bells and whistles. One of the latest releases, called Lightsaber Academy, looks pretty promising. Let's just hope you don't have to connect to Wi-Fi or something to use it.
Enter the Lightsaber Academy app on your device and sync your lightsaber.
God damn. Throughout the countless number of Star Wars movies, video games, and TV shows, we are almost always met with brand new characters to help tell each story. It's a big galaxy out there, and with new adventures comes new characters the franchise can introduce, and in some cases, profit off of. As we already learned, merchandising is the core source of revenue for the Star Wars franchise, and it's usually the fan favorites that make the most bucks. Now, that's not to say that Star Wars is creating certain characters solely for the purpose of merchandising, but it couldn't have been too far in the back of their minds. The first possible evidence of this can be traced back to the original trilogy, specifically Return of the Jedi. In the movie, it was originally the Wookiees that were supposed to defend their homeworld from the Empire, but this was later changed to be the Ewoks, which were just a more cute and cuddly version of their original choice. Now, there are convincing reasons to suggest that this was purely a creative decision, but then we got an Ewok TV show and merchandise, so you be the judge. Another character that proved to be a hit with audiences was Darth Maul, whose edgy red-on-black character design and novel two-bladed lightsaber were a first for the franchise. Maul was a Sith Lord for the new millennia, and in 1999 he was the must-have toy for Star Wars fans.
What are you looking for?
Darth Maul.
Darth Maul.
Darth Maul.
Darth Maul, baby. Darth Maul.
Star Wars figures. You gotta have them, they're coming out.
Darth Maul was the literal poster boy for the entire Phantom Menace toy line, and this had manufacturers plastering him on every single action figure they produced. Want a Padme figure? Darth Maul. Qui-Gon Jinn? Darth Maul. Darth Maul? Darth Maul! But out of all the merch-friendly characters in the Star Wars universe, only one has managed to take the crown above all others. And it doesn't even come close. In 2019, with the release of The Mandalorian, audiences would be introduced to Grogu, aka the Child, aka Baby Yoda. And it was love at first sight. Within weeks, Grogu had achieved the minion effect. There were toys, memes, book bags, mugs, keychains. Heck, I haven't even checked if there's a Grogu keychain. I just know that when I edit this video, I'll find one. Now, there's no denying that Grogu has the cuteness factor, which is a trait that has definitely granted him widespread consumer appeal. In fact, this popularity may have crowned him as the new King of the Mall. That's right, move over, Jack Skellington. Get out of here, Invader Zim. It seems like Grogu is now officially the hottest topic. Thank you. Needless to say, Grogu was a grand slam for Disney. Reports show that by 2020, Grogu merchandise had increased toy revenue for Star Wars by 70%. And that's barely scratching the surface of this craze. Baby Yoda was a cultural phenomenon, offline and online, which reminds me about the memes. Oh my god, the memes. At the height of Grogu's popularity, it seemed like any conceivable idea was being communicated in the form of a Baby Yoda meme. For example, how about these super relatable memes from r/Jeep memes, with hits like, my face when asking the wife for money to buy Jeep parts, or my face when I'm in my Jeep and I see a mud hole. It was like a mass psychosis. I once saw a man who was built like a professional wrestler wearing a Baby Yoda When the Beat Drops t-shirt. Oh, and another thing. Liking Baby Yoda is not a personality. Can you tell I feel strongly about this one? I don't know what it is, but it's something about cute characters being used as cash cows that just immediately ruins their charm for me. But for superfans, it seems like they can justify pretty much any purchase with one simple word.
Super cute.
The bag is cute.
Super cute. So freaking cute.
How adorable is that?
Listen, I understand this is a me problem, and for some, this level of cynicism towards a fictional character might be a bit of a turnoff. But I just can't hide it anymore. I don't like Baby Yoda. But I also don't like being close-minded. So I reached out to my good friend Nick in the hopes that he might be able to change my opinion. You see, Nick and I may share a name, but our opinions on Baby Yoda are quite conflicting. I kinda get the feeling that Nick has some sort of paternal affection for Baby Yoda, like he feels he needs to take care of him, and this has led him to develop a quite sizable Baby Yoda collection. So I decided to give him a ring to see if he could sway me. I'll have you know I'm recording this for my own safety. I want to get an understanding here of what your problem is. Don't tell me it's not a problem. On Discord you told me I just have a humble collection. How many of the dolls do you have?
Let me just preface this. Every single one of these I have has been a gift.
So you wouldn't spend your own money on this?
No, no chance. I got this guy. I got this guy. I got this guy. Like, how can you not like this guy? Come on.
Right,
this one I got for Christmas, and it was $140. It's like collecting like Infinity Stones. Like, I think Baby Yoda could solo the entire verse, to be honest. Look, you can feed him. Hear that? Hear that?
I knew it. This is some sort of messed up paternal void that you're trying to fill in your own brain. He's not listening.
I actually do hate these though. Like, honestly, if it wasn't for the fact they were sentimental gifts, I would fucking throw them all into an incinerator. Okay?
Thank God! I knew it! I knew it! Well, we tried. Okay, so a few months ago, I made a video pretty similar to this one where I talked about Shrek stuff. And one of my biggest regrets was not truly owning any of the actual products. I didn't actually taste the limited edition Swamp Milk. I didn't truly handle the promotional Shrek NASCAR figures. But today that all changes, because now, this show has a budget. Oh, there I am. Okay. Let's start with this one. Whoop. That way. Jesus. Okay, so first up, we've got the Star Wars Jar Jar Binks Transforming Action Set, made by Galoob. From what I can tell, this line of toys started production sometime in 1995, and my god, there's a lot of them. The gimmick involves a head or a bust of a popular Star Wars figure that can transform into a playset. This line covered practically every popular character, including Boba Fett, Darth Vader, Chewbacca, you good? And of course, Jar Jar Binks. Okay, so let's take a look at some of the features of this thing. So what we have here is a bust, and you can kind of just... And there we go. In just a few short steps, Jar Jar Binks has successfully transformed into the underwater city of Otoh. Okay, nightmare fuel aside, this thing is pretty neat for about 6 or 7 minutes. You've got some interesting little play features like these spinning fish, little vehicles that pop out, and even a trap door, which is made possible by jerry-rigging Jar Jar's eye socket into like a slide contraption. It's all very, very weird. I mean, the side you display is already strange enough, but I mean, just turn it around and... I don't like it. Why do this? There's also something about organic creatures transforming into landscapes that triggers some sort of deeply unearthed phobia in me. Like, look at Yoda. Does this make you uncomfortable? It should. But regardless, I think this one was worth it. Sure, it's completely ridiculous, but we all got to learn a bit more about Gungan anatomy, and it makes a great addition to my growing Jar Jar Binks collection. Okay, what else? What else? Oh, jeez. Oh, yes. I forgot about you. This was a mistake. You ever place a $50 offer on Jar Jar Binks' bubble bath because you somehow managed to convince yourself that this is what content is? I did. And at this point, I'm starting to realize the bit isn't that funny. So, I mean, I'm willing to settle for, like, a giggle or, like, a sharp exhale through the nose.
Can't you just return it?
What am I gonna say? Sorry, sir. The 23-year-old Jar Jar Binks bubble bath you sent me didn't live up to my expectations. Can you pass me the dancing Jar Jar? I wanna press the button again. Okay, next. What do we got? Alright. Oh, I am looking forward to this one. So, Jabba the Hutt has had an interesting run of toys, ranging from the Jabba the Hutt Stretch Armstrong to 1997's Jabba action figure, which just doesn't look quite right, and I can't put my finger on why. It's like human eyes on a dog. It just feels like something's off. But out of all the Jabba renditions over the years, it's this one that almost certainly takes the cake. So it's pretty neat. Basically, what you do is you have some Jabba glob. It's a goo, and you'll see here Jabba spits it up on himself. You remember that? Remember that from the movie? So we've got some goo, and we've got some frogs here, and we're basically going to feed them to Jabba. You can see here, you kind of put the goo inside of Jabba, then you push down, and he's supposed to spit up on himself. This kid looks like he's enjoying it, I don't know. Ooh, I like this. Squeeze the Hutt's head to ooze his slimy treat. Can I get age restricted for saying that? Be sure not to eat any yourself. No promises. Okay, let's pop this sucker open. Quick water break. Let's take a look at you. Ooh, squishier than I thought. And here we have the 25-year-old Star Wars Episode 1 Jabba Glob. Let's see how this stuff has held up. Ooh, sounds solid. That's not a good sign. Oh. Let's see if the camera can see that. That's what we want to see. I don't know if you can tell, but there's a little bit of residue pooling inside of there now. Gonna give that the 25-year-old sniff test. Oh, it actually smells really, really disgusting. Yeah, whew, okay. Oh, that's foul. That's foul. Oh, just gonna go in one more time. Oh my God, it smells like if a tennis ball could die. Oh, God. Why do I keep doing it? I gotta stop smelling it. It's getting on my fingers. We need to get some air in here. Oh, God. Ooh. This is fun. I like this. Okay. So, I took a quick break and returned with a concoction of convenience store candy that I have tried to stir into something similar to the goo that was originally in this. That's what I'm talking about. That's looking like some real Jabba glob. Did I spill everywhere? So according to this, we're supposed to take the goo and pour it right into Jabba's head. Oh yeah. And next, we are supposed to insert the can in his head. Oh, wrong way. My bad. Okay. This is messy. Let's do this quick, shall we? Okay. 3, 2, 1. Results. Oh, yeah. Jabba. Where's your manners, Jabba? Okay. So, the version that I made is technically edible, but I don't want to put this in my mouth. I'm going to be right back. One sec. Okay. Let's take a look at the damage here. Oh, not a single frog. Not a single frog. Okay, well, we tried. Good stuff. Okay, so what have we learned today? Well, if I was successful, hopefully not too much. This wasn't meant to be some deeply analytical thesis on Star Wars marketing or a commentary on how the franchise has changed over the years. The fact is, Star Wars is very quickly gearing up for its 50th anniversary. And just like with any long-lived franchise, there's some awesome, amazing content, and then there's... So, here's to Disney, Marfalump, Baby Yoda blind boxes, and whatever other godforsaken junk our corporate overlords try to put in our trough. Cheers. Oh! Tastes like pennies! I can't. It's disgusting. Oh. What am I doing? Hello, and thank you for watching this video. I'm gonna make this quick, but I want to address just a couple things for those who are interested in what's next with the channel. First off, I want to give a huge thank you to Surfshark for sponsoring this video. Their support is one of the ways I am now able to spend significantly more time making content for you guys. So if you're in need of a VPN, you can help to support the channel by checking out my promo link for Surfshark in the description below. Secondly, as some of you may know, at 10,000 subscribers, I made it clear that my mission was to just keep improving. I love what I'm doing right now. But the truth is, I want to make even better content for you guys, and I want to make more of it. So, I've gone ahead and created a Patreon for those who are looking for a way to directly support the channel. I won't bore you with tiers and perks, you can check that out yourself if you're interested. But either way, just simply watching my videos is some of the best support I could ask for. The fact that people are actually watching is still so hilariously strange to me, but also amazing, so once again, thank you. I also want to remind everyone that we have a Discord server with almost 300 members, so you can also find that in the description below. And that's it for today. As you might have guessed, I've got a ton of stuff in the works, one thing being something to do with this toy right here. If you remember this, then you're really going to enjoy this, and if you have no idea what this is, well, you're in for a treat. Alright, I will see you guys very soon.
Da-ba-da-ba.